You will also notice our new digs. Welcome to the Gospel Truth. I'm Dean.
And I'm Audrey, and this week we are celebrating the 32nd Sunday of Ordinary Time.
32nd? Like, we're like almost at the end.
Now it's like, whoa, 32?
There's, I think, 3 Sundays left?
Yeah, that's just about. And then we'll have completed our first year together.
Yeah.
Really well. Yeah. Doing TGT. So today we want to really talk about this idea of true sacrifice and generosity coming from the heart and being really wholehearted about it.
Okay.
A really nice theme, I think. But before we do that, do you want to remind everyone what the Gospel Truth is about?
Of course. The Gospel Truth is all about Audrey and I sharing our thoughts about the faith, the word, happenings in the church. Hopefully by doing that, we can understand our own faith a little bit better, and maybe you, the viewers, can get something out of it as well.
Yep.
All right. So let's dive into the readings. The first reading from the book of Kings. Elijah is visiting a city, and he sees a widow, and he's asking the widow, could I get a cup of water, and could I also get some bread? But little does he realize that the widow doesn't have very much to offer. In fact, she says, there's only a handful of flour in my jar and only a little oil in my jug. And she says that she was just collecting a couple of sticks to go in and prepare something for myself and my son. When we have eaten it, we will die. Like, she doesn't have very much at all. And Elijah's like, okay, I understand, so here's what we'll do. Just make a little bit of a cake for me, but God will provide for you. Your jar of flour will not go empty, the jug of oil will not run dry, and that's what happened. After the widow came and did that for Elijah, says she was able to eat for a year. And her son as well, and basically...
A lot of trust in.
I know, right? Like, that's crazy.
We're running out of food.
That you just put trust in sort of this prophet's sayings, but she put her trust in that and was able to eat for you, which is beautiful, beautiful story, how that sacrifice was repaid. The responsorial psalm is also beautiful. Praise the Lord, my soul. Again, that psalm of praise, talking about how Jesus will give for us and Jesus will provide for us. Now, the second reading from St. Paul's letter to the Hebrews. I love this reading.
You like the second reading?
I mean, I always like those epistles, those letters.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful because St. Paul sort of contrasts like normal human sacrifices to the sacrifice that Jesus made for us when he died to save us from sin.
Yeah.
And he kind of talks about how, Jesus didn't make a human sacrifice because human sacrifices need to be repeated over and over again. Like when you sacrifice a lamb, you do it, it's a ritual, it happens over and over again. But you know what he says? He said Jesus didn't do that. Yeah. He made the ultimate sacrifice and only had to do it once. Because there was just so much, like it was so wholehearted and so true, like the truest sacrifice.
So great too, right?
Exactly.
The greatest sacrifice.
Yeah.
Just putting your trust in God and like giving your life.
Yeah, I mean, he gave his life for us, and now he basically said he doesn't have to keep doing this over and over again, right? This sacrifice is true sacrifice, the most meaningful sacrifice, and it's not something that needs repeating, which is great because honestly, Jesus has gone through enough with that passion. It's so powerful. And then finally in the Gospel from Mark, we see Jesus observing people sitting near the treasury, and people are putting in money. I guess this is the treasury for the temple and the money that's being given to the temple. But people are putting money in there. Rich people are putting in large sums. But he contrasts this, again, to a poor widow who put only 2 small coins worth a few cents. And Jesus says, you know what? Amen, I say to you, this poor widow put in more than everyone else. They have all contributed from their surplus wealth, but she, from her poverty, has contributed all she had, her whole livelihood. And that's such a beautiful image. Right?
Yeah.
And so what's great about these readings is that all of them together kind of try and get at what it means to make a true and meaningful sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right?
And like through all these the different readings in the psalm themselves, here's one version of it, here's another version, and here's another version. What I love about the gospel is that though this woman she was a poor woman compared to all the rich donating, she is seen in God's eyes that she's giving more. Yeah. Right? Because she doesn't have any surplus wealth. She's giving all that she has, and that is something truly meaningful, I think. right? Like she's aware, like she knows that it's all she has or that she doesn't have anything, but she does it anyway, right? Because it comes from like deep within.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the themes, or that's probably the big theme, as Audrey mentioned earlier, of these sacrifices, is that you're not really going to be judged on like the dollar value of the sacrifices you make. That's not what's important, but rather the meaning that the sacrifice has for you in your heart, your willingness and your wholeheartedness with regards to that sacrifice is really what matters more, it seems, in God's eyes.
That's kind of how we both see it, right? Like we have this idea of like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do sometimes, right? And that's not necessarily the case. Like I think we need to focus less on like, this is what we're supposed to do, and really focus on like what you're truly willing to do proactively from deep within and on your own, versus like, I'm supposed to do this versus like, I want to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you think about a sacrifice as something that you're supposed to do, it almost becomes like burdensome.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I have to do this. I have to donate. I have to, go to practice and do all these things.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, is that the reality about making sacrifices is that they already have a cost, right? Like it takes something. It requires us to give a little bit of ourselves to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And when you think of it as something that you're supposed to do, like now, it almost is just like, wow, like I don't really want to keep doing this. Like,
but you do it anyway?
And you just do it anyway.
Well, okay, that's not the point, right? Like, yes, the task of donating your time, treasure, talent, whatever, is also, it's beautiful and it means a lot. But like, if you start to have this negative, like if you put a negative lens to it, you kind of lose like the meaningfulness of it, and like you kind of miss out on the true impact.
Yeah, even like the purity of that sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the difference then, is that if you sort of reset your paradigm a little bit and kind of think about sacrifices less as what you're supposed to do, but rather something that you're willing to do, which again is easier said than done. But
we say that
we say it all the time, but remember, like going through this journey is not easy.
It's not
right?
supposed to
You're
be
not
easy.
asked to do the easy road. You're supposed to do the hard stuff. Like, but as I was saying, it's just like when you think of it as something that you're willing to do, it becomes more fulfilling. And then that fulfillment, as we saw in the readings, can be repaid, or will come back to you tenfold, hundredfold. Like this woman gave just a little bit and was able to eat for a whole year. Yeah,
the gain you get
is
way greater than what you give.
Exactly.
At the end,
it's
right?
lasting.
Yes,
and it's
lasting.
meaningful.
And then at the other side of it, you'll be like, this was worth it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that, I did this. But maybe even on this, maybe not, like, I just think maybe if you're truly and wholeheartedly into like this sacrifice you do, or this being generous, sometimes it doesn't even feel like you're giving up something, right? Because you just feel so good about what you're doing, right? Maybe it's not money, but maybe it's of your time, to help out in your parish. Maybe you have a treasure or a special talent to share with, people. Don't always think it's something like super tangible like money.
Yeah, like I see it all the time with like all of the ministers serving at the parish.
Oh yeah.
Like, on top of the fact that you're sacrificing not on top of, but they are sacrificing their time to serve us, our parish community. But you can see like they have a bunch of friends in their ministry, and there's a community that's being built, and they seem to really enjoy being there. Like that's something that's beautiful, and that's sort of that repayment.
That's part of the big gain, right?
Yeah.
Like you take extra time out of your day. Like I see it with the Knights of Columbus all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They're so cute.
Yes.
They're always like ushering us in, and then they see each other and they do a little like elbow bump when they see each other.
Yeah.
That is a gain, I think, right? So like don't always think of it as something like, I don't know, again, we always have these expectations in the way God will communicate to us, but if we just kind of like widen our lenses, we'd be able to see the light in so many, like in so much more in different ways.
Like that.
Yeah.
So what we can do again, or what we can do, I guess, in terms of our challenge this week, is maybe to kind of look at the sacrifices that we make in our lives and try and paint them in a different light.
Yeah.
If we've been starting to feel like it's been draining, like doing these things, maybe kind of reset a little bit and see where that sacrifice or the why of what we're doing.
Why, yes.
And maybe that might help us out, maybe help us make those sacrifices more willingly, and then get that repayment and get that repayment tenfold, hundredfold that we were talking about.
Make it a more meaningful experience overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
All right. Well, that's all we have today. I guess we'll see everyone next week.
Yes.
On the
33rd Sunday in Ordinary Time, which is the
New Year.
second to last Sunday of the liturgical year.
Well, see you then.
All right, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.